round of the 2013 Blancpain Endurance Series. We're at Monza, and conditions could not be more different from 12 months ago. It's dry, it's sunny, it is very warm, and we've got a 60-car grid ready to do battle for what's going to be a 3-hour race with mandatory pit stops. And let's catch up before we go any further with some of the leading names in this year's championship. Trying to defend his title in the Blancpain Endurance Series is Stephane Ortelli. He's back with Audi, but for this year he's got 2 new co-drivers.
It's never better than having strong competitors, and of course last year was already very hard to retain the title for the team, but to catch it with both Christopher was really good. And how we try, definitely how we try. I have very good teammates. The team, we know each other very well. I love the Audi. They are rated still one of the fastest cars here. So, and with the new spec from 2013, we are really looking forward to the championship.
Marc VDS Racing took 2 race wins in 2012, but was denied the championship at the last round. For Bas Leinders, this is unfinished business.
Of course, the aim for 2013 is to do 1 step better than 2012, because there we only finished second, and our aim is really to win. It will be a tough battle because there will be more cars, better teams, but I think we made a big improvement also over the winter, so the challenge is on.
Peter Dumbrack and Nissan joined the Blancpain Endurance Series for 2013, and the experienced Scotsman is under no illusion. This is competitive.
Well, it's the strongest GT3 championship in the world. 60 cars and a lot of great teams, a lot of great cars, a lot of great drivers. And as a racing driver, I want to be up against the best of them. So that's the main reason for being here.
Always a force to be reckoned with in the Pro-Am category is the Blancpain Racing Lamborghini. Mark Hayek again shares with Peter Cox, and Cox will be a star.
Obviously we are going for it. We have a very strong team in Blancpain Racing, and we have a fantastic car in the Lamborghini and a very good team, so we try.
Graduating from Pro-Am to the Pro Cup is Giacomo Petrobelli. He was a race winner in class in 2012. 2013 is going to be a harder task.
I think after doing very well last year in the Pro-Am class, we're looking forward to the challenge, looking forward to driving the Ferrari in Monza in front of the fans. I think that's going to be good, and we'll see how it goes. Clearly 20 cars in the Pro class is going to be tough, but we'll give it a go.
And you can never discount Porsche. The Belgian Pro Speed team is back, having won at the Nürburgring in 2012, and as last year, behind the wheel is Marc Henrici.
I'm happy to be back in Blancpain Endurance Series Pro team again with my teammates Xavier Mas and Maxime Solé. Last year we finished on P3 in the championship and we won a race, and this year we want to be a little bit better, maybe 2 positions better, and that's the goal.
BMW teams have been very concerned about the balance of performance, not helping their cars around this circuit at all, and you have to go back to the 3rd row of the grid before you find the first of the BMWs, and if you look left, there it is, Marc VDS Racing's number 3 car, which is going to be started by Bas Leinders. Go further back on the grid, you've got the Aston Martins, you've got Ferraris, and this segue shot shows you just how busy a grid this is. Stephane Ortelli in the middle of it, enjoying a fine sight, this multi-million euro grid. Ferrari to the left, Porsche to the right, then you've got more McLarens, and the McLarens are far more competitive proposition than they were here in the wet 12 months ago. Don't rule out Lamborghinis, they have looked strong during qualifying. Audi hasn't perhaps shone in the way that was anticipated, but the Audi's lining up alongside Lamborghini further back on the grid. Team WRT is back, so is Phoenix Racing to the left there as we go down the grid. AF Corsa returns to defend the Pro-Am title. Nick Commerson and Louis Machiel's come back to try and make it 3 in a row, double champions, the only Blancpain double champions we have. It's good to have 2 different Nissan teams, RJN, but also JRM. Look how far back on the grid the number 4 Marc VDS BMW is. The BMW Z4's really struggling. This is not their circuit, but bear in mind it was last year in the wet a BMW victory. Keep going, Aston Martin, Audi, go further. Vita 41 Racing's BMW, a long way back on the grid, but even further back, Mercedes really struggling in the qualifying session this morning, not just because of traffic, but seemingly because of a lack of top-end speed as well. More BMWs, more McLarens, more BMWs, more Ferraris, more Audis. Keep going, right the way back to the Parabolica, and this amazing grid is ready to do battle. So, for everybody, teams, drivers, maybe the race director as well, it's all a bit heart in mouth as we're about to go racing. Round 1 of 5 in the 2013 Blancpain Endurance Series here from Monza. The grid is ready, the grid takes shape, They come out of the parabolica, accelerate up towards the timing line. When those red lights go to green, the race will be underway. You can see just how busy it's going to be. Who is going to make the run now as the race gets going down towards the first chicane? It's going to be 3, 4, 5 wide maybe as they go down towards the first chicane. Now you'll see who's got the grunt in a straight line. Vasov goes backwards, but look at Alex Buncombe, the Nissan charging up on the outside. It's the car that he qualified. Lucas Orjanieth at the wheel on the outside line, but on the inside line it looks like Philippe Eng may well, or that McLaren of Philippe Eng and Carlos Cray have made it through the lead. There's more drama, people trip over themselves, but it could, John, have been a whole lot worse.
It could have been very much worse. In fact, there's only 2 cars that I saw made contact. Great start from Philippe Eng in the MRS GT Racing McLaren. Stunning start from the Nissan. And the Porsche, Marc Henrici, got swamped on the rundown. It's a bodywork flying off the back of a car coming through Casa Grande, and that probably is the consequence of the touch we saw under brakes into turn 1.
Now, we had €10 down earlier on that we get a safety car on the first lap. So far, I might be €10 up because they managed thus far to get through safely. Let's have a look. The car that lost the bodywork we think was one of the brace of Santilok Audis. We'll pick that up in a moment. Look as this field swarms through. And it won't be long, of course, before Monza is just one continuous line of cars. So, on this opening lap of the race, the MRS GT Racing McLaren going strongly. The car due to be started by Carlos Cray as the field works its way then down towards the Variante Ascari for the first time. But Philippe Eng, we're told, is going to be the man behind the wheel of that car, which makes more sense because he is the quickest of the 3 drivers.
Well, it was Philippe Eng we wanted to speak to from this McLaren. He said, no, I'm actually starting this race. So that's how we ended up with the Rodin Ionesi, whose first time at Monza, looking forward to it. And, well, he's got a massive day here at Monza. Stream through the Ascari.
Now, 71 is one of the cars showing damage, isn't it? And that is the Ferrari, the car of the Russian drivers, Ladygin, Alyoshin and Shaita. They're going strongly. Hans-Guido Riegel in the Haribo Porsche, and the bodywork is being cleared up by the marshals. And there's a Ferrari in the gravel at the Variante Ascari, but thankfully, John, able to dig himself out.
Well, whether he made a driver error or whether he got spat out, we don't know. But there we see the race ready for 3rd place. Henrici's now got up into 3rd place, being challenged into braking, coming down into turn 1, the chicane.
So the car's turning their way through the chicane. It's all a bit more busy this time. People getting the wrong line. Yellow flags busily being waved. That's the reason. Ferrari facing the wrong way. Can they all avoid him? Everybody's going one way. Oh.
Well, some drivers are taking the shortcut behind the corner, turn 2. Others are going around it. They may say it was a force majeure. I think the stewards will, or the director will want to look at that and see whether there's any advantage gained from the cars that took the shortcut through turn 2.
So up the escape road goes the Ferrari in question. So Philippe Eng it is leading the way. Alex Buncombe confirmed. He's the man in 2nd place. Marc Henrici runs 3rd. And Laurens Vanthoor is 4th in number 1 Audi. There's the Santilok Audi, a new lightweight model. Damage at the front, damage at the back.
Well, without a front bodywork on that car, aerodynamically, apart from anything else, it's dangerous. The car should not really run in that condition. Should go back into the pits, fit new bodywork, and let the driver continue in safety.
So Philippe Eng it is up front. Alex Buncombe chasing after him. There's Marc Henrici dropping away a little bit, but he's got Laurens Vanthoor for company as they make their way now down towards the parabolica. Look at the gap. The top 2 has managed to pull already. But again, one of the fascinations of this is the differing speeds of the co-drivers. So what we see in this first stint certainly won't mirror what you see in the 2nd or the 3rd.
No, I mean, Alexandro Pierguidi, without doubt, set pole position, quickest driver in that 70 Ferrari. It's now back in 5th place. When he gets into the car, he'll have to do a lot of work. But of course, in the instance of the cars at the front, these are the pro drivers. They're pulling away comfortably. But that battle for 3rd place, Henrici is getting swamped by the Ferrari, overtaken by the Ferrari, coming down the main straight.
They come, look at this, they all fan out across the road, desperately trying to find track position, and it gets so busy under braking. Everybody funneling their way through the right, through the left. And at the front of the grid, in the main, you've got the pro drivers who should know how to keep out of trouble.
The Antoine Leclerc and the McLaren harrying the Porsche on the exit. Had position coming into the first chicane, couldn't make it stick. Now right on the rear wing of the Porsche down into the 2nd chicane.
Leclerc making good progress, having qualified 15th for this race, down towards the 2nd chicane. The McLaren gaining ground and defending. That pro-speed Porsche is losing out of it as well, isn't it, look?
It has. It's lost, well, it was started on the front row of the grid, and he's now lost 4 places.
field turning its way towards the first of the two Lesmo curves, then down towards the Variante Ascari. Remember, this is 3 hours of racing. Now, what is going on for Marc Henrici? He's losing places as there on the inside. Bas Linders finds a way through. Is this a problem, or is this being clever about fuel and running to a pace that will get them to the hour mark?
Well, it is an endurance event in every sense. Part of that is fuel conservation. If you have got to back off by a second or so a lap to ensure that you don't have to make a final pit stop, and the time lost doing that is greater than the time you're losing right now, well, that might be the philosophy behind the Pro Speed Porsche. And Marc Henrici, with the pace that that car has, second quickest car in qualifying, it's not showing that pace right now. Going to be challenged very shortly by the BMW.
And still hunting down for another place is Antoine Leclerc as they come down towards the Parabolica. They're going strongly, number 69, Ron Bell at the wheel of it, the McLaren. Makes his way up over the timing line. He's on the back of Marco Mappelli in the Porsche, number 83. This, of course, a circuit 2 years ago in the dry that was won by Porsche. Philippe Eng leads. Alex Buncombe is there second. Look at the gap between the top two and the rest.
Well, I'm looking at the gap, but what I'm looking at is the reduced gap. As you see now, the Porsche trying, or as the Audi trying to get down the inside of Leclerc. But the balanced position first and second, Alex Buncombe, well, the gap showing at just under half a second as they came into the chicane. And the grunt that the Nissan has, that V8 engine up front, a true GT car.
We're getting news that the Sergei Zlobin, Boris Rottenberg, Daniel Moe Ferrari has been off at the Parabolica, but back on again as now Marc Henrici is under attack. Past him goes number 1, Laurens Vanthoor at the wheel of it. Henrici was trying to fight back, but Laurens Vanthoor makes sure he hangs on to that place.
Yeah, he got the ground into the chicane, and Marc Henrici knew that there was no way to go around the outside. It's so narrow. Let's have a look and see what happens down at the Parabolica, and there's contact. Nissan and the Ferrari spun around and into the gravel.
Sergei Zlobin, who a few years ago even survived a car bomb attack. The Muscovite, one-time Minardi test driver. He's under attack again here as well as he got that assist towards the gravel. So, a lot's happened. We've only had 3.5 laps. There's a heck of a lot more of this to come as Marc Henrici then back ahead of the BMW, but he's got this whole traffic jam behind him. Just look at this. They're all stacked up, including there. Number 1, Laurens Vanthoor, looking to try to make his way through the traffic. Also, the Aston Martin, another change of driver for the published start driver list. Daniel McKenzie it is that does the first stint. Daniel, new to GT Racing, ex-Formula 3 man. You can see the Aston with the Union flag on the roof. That car joining in the mix as well.
Yeah, so it's an interesting car, the Aston Martin, unlike most of the mid-engine or rear-engine cars that it's racing against. But Marc Henrici being pressed by Bas Linders in the BMW, but unable to get past. The Porsche has got the advantage in straight line speed. The BMW may have slight advantage under braking, under road holding and cornering, but it's more about high speed, top speed at Monza.
4 laps done. Eng is only half a second ahead of Alex Buncombe. In third place, Alexei Vasov. He thought that car was going to go backwards. He's done a very good job of hanging on to third spot, hasn't he? Fourth and making progress all the time is Antoine Leclerc. 5th over the timing line was Henrici. 6th, Bas Linders. Let's have a look at the replay of the start, John. How did they all get through turn 1 safely?
Well, in the case of the Nissan, out and out grunt, but a great start from Philippe Eng in the McLaren. He managed just to nick that grip into the turn 1 with the Nissan behind. Further back, well, we saw that little bit of contact and nothing really of any consequence, but nevertheless, it's something you don't want to have. And the bodywork's going to fly off as we come through Curva Grande. The nose of that Audi, we saw it go skyward. Where is it? Still waiting for it. There it is, but the nose, you can see the nose was damaged. It finally, with air pressure, just peeled back over the windscreen of the Audi and then remained in tatters in the gravel on the outside of Curva Grande.
The top 2 then, getting away. You can see still that it's Eng ahead of Alex Buncombe, but Alex Vasov is being one of the stars of this opening stint. We're not expecting him to run in this company, but he's doing a very good job. Vasov then hanging on to that third place as he sprints now down towards the Parabolica once again. Antoine Leclerc is getting closer and closer and closer, but he's not yet found a way through. Vasov, who began in Rallycross, he's racing the European Touring Car Championship, the current variation of it. He's done quite a bit of rallying, he's done some GT racing in the past, and also the Insight Racing Ferrari though, which is another car you can depend on for a good class result. Rob Barth in 88, he's going very strongly. Everywhere you look, there's someone to talk about.
Von Ryan Racing, one of my old engineers.
Good old Dave Ryan, second year running GT cars in this championship, and the rest of the field still comes pouring through. compare what you had at the end of lap 1 to the end of 3 hours of racing, it's going to be a very different order. There is Marc Henrici turning his way now with Davide Rigon right on his tail in the Ferrari. Davide Rigon is gaining ground. Whoops, is there going to be contact here? Very, very close indeed. Alessandro Pierguidi trying to muscle his way past Christopher Mies. Look at this, Audi and Ferrari together.
Well, there will contact as well as they come out of the chicane into the Curva Grande. Meanwhile, Baz Leinders has dropped a place. He was chasing Henrici. He's down to 7th from 6th.
And Rob Barth has gained 1 spot out of that little battle while they were tripping over themselves. Look in the background, the Von Ryan racing McLaren is on the outside line. Rob brakes late as he dares round the outside. He's off, he's over the curb, he's back on again. Does he hang on to the plate? They touch again. This is an endurance race and they're going at it like it was a 10-lap sprint.
Well, Rob Barth is also a racing driver instructor. I don't think that's in his manual of motor racing.
It worked though, Rob. Well done. You've gained another place. So the Von Ryan racing McLaren gains ground.
It may be seen he gained an advantage. He didn't go through the chicane. He went behind it. So again, that'll be an incident we'll probably see on screen that will be being investigated. So keep your hands and everything together that Rob Barth gets away with that one.
New race director for the championship this year, Bernard Cottrell, very experienced race official. He'll have a look at that. The stewards will make a decision if anything has to be done. But it's on the timing screen. Car 88 cut the chicane at turn 4. Well, it was there on camera. It's on the timing screen for the teams to know about. So there may well be a penalty heading Rob's way for that. Let's see. Daniel Mackenzie in the Aston Martin comes down towards us. And he's under pressure, that's for sure. There is the reason for that pressure. Alvaro Parent for the Hexis Racing Team. I still think that's going to be a winning car, but the Hexis McLaren is going very strongly indeed over the timing line. Now let's have a look at this moment of Rob Barth. John, talk us through it.
Well, he came along the outside going into the second chicane. He couldn't get the car. You can see he's actually got the wheels turning, but the car was still going straight on. So he then got the advantage coming out of the chicane, got alongside the Audi. A little bit of Rob along the body panels, but he's on the inside as they come up to the first of the 2 right-hand Lesmo corners. And to me, he did gain a slight advantage. Whether the steward will take that and see a penalty or not, we will get that information in time.
There's Sergej Zlobin after his trip through the gravel. The car is now in the garage and being worked on as the race lead fight continues. Eng versus Buncombe, 0.3 of a second between them.
Oh, pumped off at the second Lesmo.
Way off into the gravel to try and work out who it is. One of the McLarens, I think, yes, Frédéric Verviche for the Butzer-Gignon team, the Belgian driver. Well, at least he's kept his foot in. He's going to drag it out of there.
Right, well, I mean, at least lots of area to spin into and get back onto track.
And back into the pit lane as well. So the Belgian team goes to work to try to make sure there's no gravel in a nasty place, to make sure the car's not too badly damaged. But this looks like it could be a long stop for the team. And also off is one of the Ferraris down at second Lesmo, I think.
It's difficult to see that for that particular camera angle, but it is buried. So that's going to need outside assistance to get the car towed to a part, or rather the racetrack, more likely towed behind the gravel trap to the service road. Well, the San Parabolica, in fact, coming down the straight, trying to get alongside the sister Ferrari, and, well, that's a great idea. Punch your teammate in the back, send him off, you gain the advantage. I'm sure there'll be words afterwards.
Nose to tail, over the line, here they come. Eng defending that inside line. Alex Bunkovic's getting closer and closer and closer, but the only way he can go is to the outside. He dives into the corner, he brakes late, he's done it, but has he gone too deep? He has, over the curve. He's going to have to lose the lead, isn't he? He does. Philip Ent takes it back up. Nice try, Alex, didn't quite work.
I mean, it was almost sweet as a nut. As look at it again, comes down. Literally, he's so close to the rear, the McLaren has to pull out sideways to avoid under brakes hitting the back of the car, but just fractionally too late in the brakes. And even the massive discs of these cars and calipers of these cars run, the grip from the Pirelli tire, not enough to slow the Nissan down. But the intention is there, and it's not going to be the last time we're going to see this.
That is for sure. And that is one of the Pro Speed cars. It's Marc Henrici, who is off at the chicane. He was 4th, and Marc Henrici is in the gravel, and that looks like day done.
My potential winner, my potential winning Mark. Well, Mark, what did you do?
Did he fall or was he pushed, is the question. Mark is decidedly Albert's mother about that. Here's the answer.
I don't think there was any outside assistance whatsoever. There may have been an issue that we didn't get to see on that brief clip of the car in the gravel. We didn't quite see what happened before he went into the gravel. That may be the story. Hopefully we'll now see Marc Henrici in the pit lane with a microphone and give us the information.
This is what the leaders have got to work their way through.
That's the trouble, bodywork, yes. And pits trailing from behind. the very, very hot exhaust of the Porsche. Remember, the Porsche engine is behind the rear axle. The exhaust system is entwined all around. He's in the pit lane. The exhaust system is entwined all around that bit of bodywork.
Now, Mark Henrici is in the gravel. Let's find out more about this. Xavier Marson, his co-driver, is with Jack Nicholls.
Xavier, what did you make of that incident?
Well, apparently Mark said something broke off probably on the suspension. We don't know yet for sure, but yeah, real pity, because this was definitely a race we could have won. The whole weekend we've been up there and in qualifying P2, so we're expecting a very good result. So it's a shame for the championship.
Thank you.
Well, that answers the question. It wasn't an assist, it was a breakage, a suspected breakage within the suspension.
Yep, it's always difficult. There is the car. It's always difficult to, when you see a car coming to the end of it, strip through the gravel, to know whether it was assisted or not, as we look at Rob Barth in the midst of a battle as well in the McLaren.
Yeah, Rob Barth busy battling with the Aston Martin. Daniel McKenzie at the wheel of it, virtually side by side. We change for the lead. Alex Buncombe has done it at the first chicane. Alex Buncombe has gone through. Good bit of driving.
Well, that was opportunism, but he's been working at it all race, trying to get back now. Philippe Eng sees the opportunity because the speed off the corner from the Nissan, again, it's always a compromise when you pass, but the speed of the Nissan down into the second chicane in the middle of the racetrack, not giving any opportunity for the McLaren to seek entry into the corner one way or the other, just follow through.
And there is the punctured tyre for Laurens Vanthoor. The mechanics are hard at work. And they're just going to replace that one, are they? Or they're going to do the whole set? They're going to do the whole... No, just the one tyre. Drop it down. Yep, off they go. And that for Vita 4-1 is bad, bad news. 27 has stopped by the side of the road. That, I think, is at the first chicane.
Yes, it is, yep.
Yellow flags, therefore, necessary there. The car's certainly gone off. You can see the grass has been chewed up.
It looks rather strange to be stopped there because there's no apparent damage to the car. Clearly there's a mechanical issue because the car is not able to be moved by the driver, waiting for the tractor to tow that car to safety behind the Armco barrier.
Now Matteo Cressoni was the man behind the wheel of it. This is your fight for third place with Rob Bell getting closer and closer and closer. Antoine Leclerc runs third, Davide Rigon is fourth, fifth behind them is Rob Bell. Last time Rob was just a tenth slower, but he's going to benefit from these two squabbling.
Very much so. He's been watching this for the last 10 or more laps, and what Rob Bell knows is that when he gets out of the car, it'll either be Adam Carroll or Nina Verdonk who will be in the car, and that's such a strong driver partnership, so their performance is going to be consistent, and that's consistent towards the front.
This is lap 26, and you're looking at what is a tremendous battle going on for third, fourth and fifth places. Third at the moment is the white and red McLaren of Antoine Leclerc, fourth behind him the red and white Ferrari of Davide Rigon, and fifth the Gulf Racing McLaren in the hands of Rob Bell, and they have been at it for third place for well over a dozen laps now, and Antoine Leclerc has done a really solid job of hanging on a third place, but now Rigon is under real pressure because he's got Rob Bell, one of Britain's top GT racers, breathing down his neck.
Yes, the McLaren of Leclerc gets marginally ahead of the Ferrari on the exit of the chicane.
Now, I keep posing this question about Hex's problem or plan. Let's find out. Philippe Dumas is with Jack.
Philippe, we were expecting a little more pace from you. Have you got a problem?
Yeah, for sure. Now, yeah, we have an engine problem. We don't know exactly what is it, but Alvaro are losing quite a lot of time. I think it's 1.5 seconds per lap. It's very difficult. So we'll see during the pit stop. Yeah, it's nearly finished.
Thank you. Now there is your Hexis Racing McLaren. What can be done? There was the leading car.
Yes. One of the McLaren engineers dived in to that car, whether he can plug something in time and see if they can affect any change. As the tyre change goes on the lead car, the left front comes off, the new one goes back on, and two people only are permitted to make these pit stops, these tyre changes.
It would make sense, wouldn't it, to put Steve Doherty in for the middle stint and then put Lucas Ordóñez in for the end in 35. No doubt that's what Bob Neville has factored into his equation. So this was Felipe into the lead, and that's Petrobelli again. Giacomo, what are you doing?
At least he's consistent.
But at the end of last year...
And that's down the second chicane.
It is. Just to say, at the end of last year, in the Blancpain website, I was asked to do some driver rankings of those in the Pro-Am, and I put Giacomo very highly up the order. Well, I'm afraid he's having a nightmare day here. What's he done? He's got up the escape road. He's had a big lose.
Lost it under brakes, completely spun the car around, crashed into those... Well, those are the barriers that are mandatory on Formula One circuits.
Now there is the troubled end car. It's well, that's one of the problems. It's stuck, it's blocked in, but they're still working on that car.
Not a lot of space in the pit lane when you get your sister team. In fact, what teams try to do is work together. The car that's ahead of you and the car that's directly behind you, ensure that, if possible, you don't come in on the same lap. But the Porsche are trying to make a little bit of space for the McLaren when it will eventually make its way back on track. But whatever they're doing on the McLaren, it doesn't look like any big rush. It's going to be out the track quickly.
Going back to Hexes for a moment, 31st the car now is. Steph Dusseldorf at the wheel. Whatever they tried to do, did it work, did it not? They've sent the car back out. But this car is stuck. It can't go forwards. This is just a disaster. Whatever they do...
Well, the McLaren can't push the McLaren backwards either.
So Davide Rigon is in the pit lane. And of course it'll be a driver change as well as refuelling and a tyre change. So we'll let these pit stops settle down, then we'll worry about the race order. But Pro Tev is going to put Daniel McKenzie in the Aston Martin into the lead of the race. I'll tell you who's benefited most on these pit stops, the Gulf Racing McLaren. Nico Verdonk is ahead of Ramos. That's going to put the Gulf McLaren into the lead of the race.
Well, the Gulf McLaren was always a strong car, 3 really good drivers. And once that settled down, Rob Bell did the opening stint. Didn't overdrive the car, didn't overuse it, hands it over to Nico Verdonk in very good shape indeed. Oh, a Lamborghini goes round, doesn't touch the barrier. Yes, it does.
Peter Cox, you don't do things like that.
Was that an assist, or was it just all down to Peter Cox?
Well, put it in your diary if it was a mistake from Peter, because they don't come along very often.
And he's going to have trouble getting it off, because the rear wing is actually... The back of the wing is caught over the back of the barrier, apart from anything else that may be done to that car.
Plus the gravel at the front. I was about to tell you that the Philip Eng McLaren was in 45th place after that woeful pit stop. There it is. So ignore that car completely now from the classification for the win, because that pit stop cost it round about 3 laps.
Well, I mean, the car must have been stuck in gear. They couldn't move it forward because clearly the Porsche blocked them. They couldn't push it back because the car wouldn't go back. And all the hard work from the young Austrian driver, really, I mean, it's so frustrating.
So there's your leader, Nico Verdonk, a car that we were talking about in 5th place for the bulk of the first hour. But on the pit stops, that car has come up into the lead of the race. Second behind is the Caroll Racing Ferrari of Ramos. And then in 3rd place, you've got number 11, and that now is Mike Parisi. So these 3 that were battling, you've jumbled the order again.
Yeah, I mean, great job by McLaren, great job by Ferrari. They've turned the cars around quickly. McLaren gaining the advantage, having been the 3rd of the 3-car battle with the Ferrari caught between Leclerc's McLaren. As you say, they've now reversed positions. So can Ferrari do something to the Gulf McLaren that the Ferrari couldn't do to the previous McLaren of Antoine Leclerc?
Lawrence Vantor, incidentally, after his puncture, up to 8th, but now has pitted. A replay of drama at the Parabolica. Peter Cox getting it wrong there.
That's why he
got there, yeah.
That was a straight, but couldn't cut right. I mean, to run, I mean, the exit of the Parabolica is not an issue. Peter Cox more than likely just let the car run wide to free the car up on the exit of the turn to get the maximum in contact between a Mercedes and a Ferrari, and that is looking to me to be on the exit of the Parabolica possibly.
Yeah. So it's the Mercedes, one of the 2 Black Falcon Mercedes from the Gentleman Trophy. It's number 19, in fact, and that means that it's Andre Lebed at the wheel of it, and 52 is the Ferrari, and that is the Lionel Como car. So both in the Gentleman Trophy, not gentlemanly racing. This is for the lead. Over the line comes Nico Verdonk. Up the inside goes Cesar Ramos. It's going to be Ferrari into the lead. Great move.
Very strong indeed. Cesar Ramos weighed that up perfectly. Got the run on the McLaren down into the chicane, put it down the inside, clean, overtaking, good motor racing. But look further back through this battle with the BMW really getting mullered. Oh, a spin!
That's the Royal Motorsport car that spun the 43 BMW. And there, Marcus Paltela goes through on the inside and takes the place away from Jordan Grosjean. And right with them as well is the number 50 Ferrari, and that has now got Marcelli at the wheel of it, so they didn't rule that one out either.
Tala trying to make a move on the Ferrari one way, then back. The Ferrari goes to the left. The BMW hoping to get up alongside as it comes down into the braking zone. Looks like he might have enough of not an advantage, but track position, and he has.
And behind is Louis Machiels, and look at the way that Machiels is going in the Pro-Am class Ferrari. He's a very quick gentleman racer, Louis Machiels. Jordan Grogard there, having taken over from Rob Bath, losing places, as you would, to be fair, expect. He's not as quick a driver as Rob. And look at that Vita 4-1 BMW getting closer and closer to the pace now. Stefano Colombo at the wheel of it, and he is in 12th overall. So let's update on Nissan. Alex Buncombe is out of the car in the pits with Jack Nicholls.
Alex, great first stint from you, but lost a bit of time in the pit stops?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the start, I think it was the start of my career. I just got the throttle right on the lights, and yeah, I went to the left of the Audi and just had the run on the whole pack in front of me. And yeah, I thought I had the lead, but the McLaren just got out of the first corner in front of me. So yeah, I followed him for a while and managed to eventually get him into turn one, and then just got my head down and tried to put some good laps in.
And then what happened at the pit stops? Because you came in with a reasonably comfortable advantage, but you dropped back now.
Yeah, I don't really know. I was at the back, unfortunately, but yeah, it sounded like we lost about 30 seconds at the stop. I'm yet to go and have a word with the team manager, but yeah, I think we lost about 30 seconds, which is a shame. We're now back in P5, but Lucas is there in the car now, and he's doing a fantastic job. So.
But there is drama at the Parabolica. 26. It's Colombo in the Vita 4-1. Z4 off at the Parabolica has gone Stefano Colombo, and that's not an easy place to recover from. The marshals are going to push him onto the track.
Yeah, and flag marshals waving, but I'm not persuaded that everybody is actually slowing down as one would require you to do. The safety car has been deployed. To me, that was the solution, but now it's been deployed to the point the car has actually rejoined the racetrack. It should have been deployed a lap or so ago. It's one lap too late.
It's Murphy's Law, isn't it? As soon as you make the call, then, of course, the car gets going. And also, it has not picked up the leading car. Now, the regulations say you don't have to pick up the leader, but it is desirable. The safety car is scrambled, and it has picked up back markers. Puncture, 23 Nissan with a puncture.
Is that opportune or not?
Sure, well, by the look of it, it's happened near the end of the lap as well. Lucas Law at the wheel of it. So down the pit lane comes 23 with its punctured tyre.
There we see the lead Ferrari, but there may be traffic, although it's only a gap. In fact, the Nissan between it, a Ferrari. In fact, there's 3 cars between first and second.
Exactly so, and those are the cars that Nico Verdonk is going to get past. And they're actually pretty quick cars as well. They come from Pro and Pro-Am, so they're not going to be easy to get past. Whereas now, look, Verdonk's under pressure because they're right up behind him is Mike Parisi as they come over the line, and Parisi is in a big hurry as well.
Well, Mike Parisi may well be thinking, I can sniff a second place here. He's just got to get away around the Porsche, and of course he's found himself slightly compromised on the entry into first chicane, and drops back behind the car that he's chasing, the second place Ferrari of McLaren of Nico Verdonk.
So Cesar Ramos now released. He's going to try and build up this gap once again. Nico Verdonk trying to work his way through the back markers. And yet again, there's a car in the gravel. Safety cars breed safety cars, don't they? That's the surviving Pro Speed Porsche. It's 48, the American car.
McLaren.
That's the number 9 Merrick Wainwright car. Now have a look in the top right of the screen. That's where the Variante Ascari exit is. And Andy Merrick charges out of the corner, runs wide, and he swaps ends and across, and oh wow, into the barrier.
Yeah, he was, as I anticipated, he'd run wide coming out of the exit of the 3-corner Ascari curves, ran the curve, the car just got into, and not a slide he couldn't control. The back end of the car went round there. We see the car being quickly recovered.
Now, of course, this brace of safety car periods has helped people's fuel a little bit, and we are also now looking at another 20 minutes before you get to the end of this hour and effectively the next round of pit stops. But for many of the teams, these safety car interventions have been good news.
Yes, and I mean, for the teams that have got, let's say, the gentleman drivers in them, and you've got a professional driver behind the wheel, you want to keep the professional driver in as long as you possibly can. But Cesar Ramos is having to defend from the back with the Nissan coming down alongside, and of course the Nissan not racing for the lead, but certainly racing to get ahead of the Ferrari.
because that wants to unlap himself to get back onto the lead lap would be good news with an hour and 19 minutes to go. Nico Verdonk, they're running in second spot in that Gulf Racing McLaren, the surviving Gulf Racing McLaren now. This is the car from the Pro Cup, and he goes to the outside of the SMP Racing Ferrari, heading out of the Curva Grande up towards the second chicane. Ramos then, once again, has got to control the pace from the front. And the ART McLarens, there is the third place car working its way through traffic, Mike Parisi at the wheel. Fourth is the Frank Stippler Audi in the background there, and in fifth place, you just saw it go through the shot, Lucas Ordóñez in the Nissan. So there are still battles to be resolved. These safety car periods helping Mark VDS a little bit, bringing numbers 4 and lower down 3 back into the mix. And the 25 BMW there you saw gaining ground up on the inside as well, which is the TDS BMW used in the championship this year. The reigning champion, by the way, Stephane Ortelli, we've not mentioned much, for a good reason. He's 23rd. Of course, that car losing time when Lawrence Vanthoor had the puncture, but 23rd with an hour and 18 minutes to go. Not great news for the Monegasque. And everybody tries to trip over themselves coming out of the second Lesmo corner. Some are battling for position, some are being lapped, and all of this is about self-preservation.
Where do you go? Because as soon as you see a gap, you want to go for it. Somebody else is already there. We've got 20 or more cars, literally, as they come up into the Scary chicane. Some, as you say, are on the lead lap. Others are being lapped. Some have got gentleman drivers, some have got professional drivers. And it is absolutely the worst situation when this happens.
That is a fantastic advert for the Blancpain Endurance Series. A track full of cars, full of overtaking. Some, as we keep saying, are on different laps. Does it matter? What a spectacle. Look at that.
Three abreast, the McLaren being either squeezed out or having a problem. That was the McLaren that initially led the race here, and now it's being absolutely swamped as it came through Parabolica.
And off has gone Porsche, spectacularly off this time. Is that the Parabolica? He's been catching out a huge number of them.
Looks pretty much like the usual spot. There's the exit. Let's have a look and see. Oh, look, he's passing them, but completely down the inside. And never a chance of ever turning into the corner. Charles Putman, and certainly, I mean, the name like Putman in the sand trap, but he ain't going to get a hold on one, is he, for that one?
Puncture for the BMW.
Yeah, he's in the pit lane, fortunately, just further down the field. Mike Parisi, only 2.7 seconds behind Nico Verdonk. Still very much a possibility that that number 11 McLaren could find itself slightly further up the winner's podium.
Okay, that's Jelmer Berman in with what we think is a punctured tyre, and they're going to put Maxime Martin into the car a little bit early. That's 65 minutes for Maxime Martin to work his magic. Okay, that car's going to come up the order, not my word. Maxime Martin is an absolute hero in the GT car.
He's a star. Every time I've seen him in a GT car, he drags a performance, and Maxime Martin will have, what, 65 minutes or so of the race to go.
Jelmer is in the pits with Jack.
Jelmer, a little bit earlier than planned, that pit stop?
Yeah, well, we had, from pretty early onwards, we had a problem with our right rear tire, which was losing pressure, and we just hoped we could just make it till the pit stop window. But then I started to feel a lot of vibration, so I thought, okay, now it's going, so I left it off, and then it went on the back straight. Luckily there, because if it goes here, then you have to do the whole lap, so that was our luck. But on the other hand, yeah, we lost a lot of time, and it's all getting a bit more difficult now, so we have to see. Thank you. Thanks.
So you've got Zampieri taking over 44. Let's see where these two McLarens feed back in after the pit stops relative to this car. It's a Castle Racing Ferrari. Pit stops have in the past been the Achilles heel for this team. New tyres go on. Pirelli's for everybody this year. Pirelli supplies every team under the regulations in the championship. Now, how long before Verdonk pits? How long before Parisi pits? There, 44 Ferrari blasts back into the race.
Yeah, just got ahead of the traffic coming down the pit lane as well as Mike Parisi still running behind Nico Verdonk. The picture of these two cars is going to make the pit stop first. Will be Mike Parisi in and hand over to Andy Soucek, strong driver Andy Soucek, or will it be, in the case of Adam Carroll, taking over from Nino Verdonk?
And what happened at the first round of pit stops? They came in on the same lap, so you might expect them to come in down the pit lane nose to tail just as they are on the track, fighting now for the race lead. In comes Verdonk, and as on the first round of pit stops, in will come the ART Grand Prix McLaren as well. They come in that order, Gulf ahead of ART, but what order will they rejoin in?
The easiest pass on the racetrack is actually in the pit lane, because that is also part of the racetrack. So ART go to it, Gulf Racing go to it. Who's going to come out the winner?
And not only that, we need to keep an eye to where the 44 Ferrari is. Frank Stippler is in as well. So number 13, Frank Stippler, comes down the pit lane. There's Andy Soucek, who rushes around the other side of the car. There's Stippler coming down the pit lane in number 13. He will give that car now to Edward Sandstrom for the last stint. Okay, that's the ART pit stop. Adam Carroll has been bouncing up and down on his toes, no doubt, ready to get into the Gulf Racing car. How is their pit stop going? And where is the 44 Ferrari?
There it is, coming up to the Ascari chicane. So it's a third of a lap remaining. So will that Ferrari get through the chicane, get down the straight into Parabolica and exit before this car moves?
Don't forget, it was leading by about 8 seconds before it stopped. That's what it has in hand. So now all the fuel has gone in, 115 litres. Now they've got to change tyres. This car should keep the lead.
Comfortably keep the lead, because the McLaren would have to then get off the jacks, trundle down at 60 kilometers per hour, down the pit lane, and the Ferrari is coming now onto the straight. There it is, entering the pit straight, and up to 279 kilometers per hour, and they're still putting the front wheels onto the McLaren, onto the ART Grand Prix team car.
So Ferrari leads. That's going to cheer the Tifosi, isn't it? Away goes the ART McLaren. I'm looking down into the pit lane to see where that car is. Well, in fact, it's going to get mugged in the pits, because ahead of it is the Stippler Audi that's now been taken over by Sandstrom. So there, look, Sandstrom comes out ahead of Andy Soucek, and then Adam Carroll. So the Audi is getting 2 places in the pits.
So effectively the battle for second, third and fourth cars, the McLaren there on the left of your screen. Adam Carroll behind the wheel. A lot of work to do for the Ulsterman now to run down the system, well, not the system, but the McLaren driven by Andy Soucek. But it is the Audi that was the big winner, the car that was being driven by Frank Stippler, now in second place.
That's Leon Price, who I'm afraid has had a drama in the car that Rob Bath started so rapidly. So Leon Price parked by the side of the road, disappointing. The Price Grogar car.
Yeah, coming out of the exit of the first of the Lesmo corners, runs right across on the outside of the racetrack, and luckily he gets a right tank slapper, and that is a great shame. Leon Price just lets the car, he gets 2 of the Pirelli signs, and he reverses almost onto the track.
Down to the second Lesmo corner comes this second place battle, and Sandstrom goes wide over the curb through the gravel. That's going to delay him. Soucek up the inside and through he goes.
I mean, that was a gift horse. He looked straight into its mouth and took it. I mean, you wanted that all the time. Edward Sandstrom got it wrong, probably in the middle of the corner. That's why he got so far out on the exit, and that was exactly what Andy Soucek was looking for. And he is now taken second place, and now ahead of the Audi, will be able to pull ahead. 19 seconds is the gap now between second place. Let's look again. Out of Lesmo 1, everything is status quo. On the brakes into the second part of the Lesmo corner. Is there a little hint of an oversteer, or just simply runs wide on the exit? Just lack of concentration, just trying to free the car up, maybe too early on the exit. The penalty is severe. It's the loss of second place.
We're on lap 73. The race leading Ferrari is that of Daniel Zampieri, and now their second is Andy Soucek in the McLaren. Let's see what he can do to bring down a gap of 20 seconds. That is the margin now. So first to second, 20 seconds, 38.5, give or take, minutes of the race remaining. In third place, it's number 13, the Audi of Edward Sandstrom. Fourth now is the 69 BMW, and there, round the outside of Nick Katzberg, to unlap itself, goes the number 2 Audi. Matt Halliday at the wheel. That was very brave indeed.
Matt Halliday is as brave as Dick Tracy. Great GT driver, more familiar with Porsches probably than others. And Matt Halliday had an off here in Saturday practice, but seemingly not affected. Neither is the car, and just doing what Matt Halliday loves to do.
So Adam Carroll fourth in the Gulf Racing McLaren, and we've had this change for fifth place because the number 50 Ferrari Andrea Bertolini has got himself up past there Nick Katzberg Andrea Bertolini, who runs in the Pro-Am class. He's very much the Pro. The AMs, although they're quick AMs, Nick Homerson and Louis Machiel's his co-driver. So Bertolini in the Ferrari up to 5th. So you've got the VDS cars running together, and are we going to see the places change? Any team orders? Let's get Jack to ask Bas Liners in the pit lane now.
So Bas, your two cars running very close to one another. Do you control the car orders from the pit wall at all?
No, this is not Red Bull racing in Formula 1. We don't have any team orders, but at the moment car 4 has a slight issue with brakes, so we're easing off at the moment. Yeah, it's good to have the both cars in the top 5 in the Pro Cup, so we're happy with that.
Now, the third, Sundström versus Carroll. Down they come towards the Parabolica, and Adam within the middle sector, took another 10th back. For third place, up towards the line comes Edward Sandström. He's on borrowed time for third place because there behind him, hunting him down, is Adam Carroll. His first race in this car, and Adam now getting a lot more comfortable, I think, behind the wheel of the McLaren. He can see the Audi ahead of him, and the gap as they come over the line is 9/10 of a second, but then a back marker is put between the two of them.
Now I will look again to make a move. Adam Carroll staying in the middle of the racetrack. Can Bertolini go down the inside? It's very close.
Has a look, thinks better of it, and Carroll brakes very late and the car snakes. He hangs on to it. That was a good save, but will that compromise him on exit? I think it might just do. Andrea Bertolini is right there behind him. A tiny, tiny, tiny error from Adam Carroll. He got away with that. It could not be a fiercer fight because Adam Carroll now makes an attack on the outside coming down to the Parabolica. Can he go all the way around the outside? Can he get ahead before the corner? Yes, he can. He gets his nose in front, but it's the wrong line. Adam's going to be hugely brave. If he comes out of here ahead, they lean on each other almost. The Audi will be ahead, but Adam Carroll is standing his ground. Look at this, fantastic. 7 minutes on the clock. Adam Carroll right round the outside. He's on the wrong line for the first chicane, though, because it's on the outside, and it looks as though the Audi is going to get its nose back in front, down to the braking area. Who is going to blink first? Adam on the outside line, and they're going to touch. They do. They rub again, and Sundström goes through, and he hangs onto the place.
But it's Adam Carroll who's in jeopardy because he had to give up at the last minute. That's allowed Bertolini to come back and put pressure yet again. We saw a situation like that with Carroll and Sundström 20 minutes ago, and Sundström faced down Adam Carroll under brakes on the inside line into the first chicane, and he's done it again.
Brilliant, brilliant racing. And the leading gentleman driver there is Patrice Goyla, leading the gentleman trophy in the number 20 Sofret Ferrari. This is the car that he shares with the Jean-Lucs, Blancpain and Mobilic. Last corner, checkered flag at the ready. It's going to be a win for Kessel Racing. Daniel Zampieri, the man behind the wheel of the car, Davide Rigon and Cesar Ramos are set to be winners in the opening Blancpain Endurance Series race of 2013. The flag falls, Ferrari wins at Monza, Kessel Racing is delighted. The Ferrari victorious, a great stint by Daniel Zampieri. Here for second is the McLaren. ALT Grand Prix car comes over the line. Andy Soucek brings it home after a good effort, not just by him, but also early on by Antoine Leclerc, and Mike Parisi did a solid job in the middle stint. But for third, they're going to be overlapping coming out of the last corner. Adam Carroll's done it. He's got his nose in front, but Sandström fights back as they come to the timing line. They go through as a virtual dead heat, and Adam Carroll has done it by 28 thousandths of a second as they came over the line. Adam Carroll snatches third on the line by 28 thousandths of a second. Behind them for fifth, Andrea Bertolini comes home. At sixth should be Marcus Winkelhock in the Audi. It's a long way back, but he should be on target for sixth place. What a race. Drama all the way, not just in terms of all the way through the race, but all the way up and down the order. In the end, it was a relatively easy win for the Ferrari, but there's some fierce fighting lower down. What a drive by Daniel Zampieri. He wins by 18 seconds. The Italian wins. John Watson is down to talk to him.
Daniel Zampieri, sweet as a nut, great victory.
Yes, it is our first victory for the Blancpain with the Ferrari 458, so the season started well, and we hope for the next race that we can do better than today. We should thanks to the team and to my teammate.
And of course, winning for Ferrari at Monza always very special.
Every time is special for Ferrari winning here, because Ferrari is born in Italy, so we are in a race house.
Well, congratulations to Cesar and to David. Great job all day.
Oh, sure, great job to my teammate.
Let's confirm the way they came over the line. Kessel Racing victorious from ART Grand Prix, Gulf Racing, and then Belgian Audi WRT, the Belgian Audi Club car, in 4th. And of course they are all in the Pro Cup. AF Corsa 5th, Macchios, Homerson and Bertolini car, that takes honours in Pro-Am. Phoenix Racing for 6th, Enzo Ida, Anthony Kumpen, Marcus Winkelhock, and then the impressive TDS BMW of Henri Hassid and Ludovic Badet. Ahead of Bas Linders, Jelmer Burman and Maxime Martin. 8th ahead of Harold Primat, Oliver Jarvis and Christopher Hasse. Klaus Hummel, Steve Jones and Adam Christodoulou. 10th ahead of the Beach Dean, Aston and Stephane Ortelli, Laurence Vantour and René Rast. 12th again from the Pro Cup. And now the race winners. Daniel Zampieri, Amelia Rigon, Cesar Ramos are the winning drivers. And excellent effort by not just them, but by the team as well. We spoke during the course of the race about how sometimes the pit stops has been the Achilles heel for the team. No such problems today. Everything goes very, very strongly on track and in the pits. Trophies in the air. 9 happy drivers, 1 delighted team manager. A wet Monza last year, a dry and sunny Monza this year. What happens at Silverstone as the champagne is sprayed here? Last year it was a wet Silverstone as well, but when the Blancpain Endurance Series heads to the UK for the second round of the championship, one question is, can we top 60 cars? Another question is, are we going to have another dry race? 2 safety car periods to factor into this one. And Andy Merrick, who brought out the second safety car after that big impact, about to say okay. The car a little bit less so. So it's been an all-action opener to the Blancpain Endurance Series here at Monza. Happy drivers on the podium being presented with trophies. Next stop is Silverstone. From John Watson, Jack Nichols and me, David Addison, we'll see you in the UK for round 2.